Welcome, Graham. Welcome back. Another episode of the Healthy Diabetic Podcast, a live podcast, episode 335, number 6 of our live show. Before we get started, please remember that nothing that you hear on this podcast should be considered medical advice or otherwise. Please always consult your medical team before making any changes to your diabetes management. Got a great show for you guys today. I'm really excited about this topic, Graham. Because I hear so much in our community about perfection, or like, hey, I'm shooting for those perfect blood sugars. I want those perfect blood sugars. I want that perfect A1C. I want that 100% time in range. I want that 100 blood sugar. I want that unicorn. And the question becomes, is that actually really realistic? And maybe it's realistic to maybe do a couple times here and there, but is it realistic to actually do all the time? So we're going to start with perfection, and we're going to dive into some other things too. Graham always has some really good insights and other really cool things in the news and topics to talk about. So we're going to dive into some of this. But before we get started, Graham, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. You did not do the jingle.
No, I didn't do the jingle. The jingle will be at the beginning. In post editing. I'm not doing the jingle anymore.
Oh, you put that in? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I put it in.
And how's everything else going? I know you've been working on a couple other things on the back end.
Yeah, everything's going good. Everything's going good. The new 5-day challenge is about to be released in 2 weeks.
Sorry to cut you off. Hold on. Not to cut you off.
What?
Aren't you working on like a couple new intros for the Healthy Diabetic and things like that?
We're trying to recreate a logo and recreate the intro, yes, but we're still working on it.
Okay, that's what I was asking. I don't really care about your other stuff, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I don't care about you either.
Thanks for asking about my birthday weekend too, and my tan and all that stuff.
Yeah. How was your birthday? Hey, we gave you a shout out last week on Friday.
I know. I heard it.
Me and Kelly gave you a shout out. Did you listen to the episode?
I started to. Was it at the end?
It was at the end.
Yeah, I didn't hear the end. I really like Kelly. I like her energy, but I really like her preparedness. And that might come natural to some people, but someone like Kelly, you give her a little bit of time to do a little bit of background and be ready. And I think she nailed it and killed it. I have not listened. I usually don't listen to things, but I love that she had something, dove right into it. Her background is amazing. Her to jump in last minute was amazing and stuff like that too. And because we talked about it, I started asking a few other people to come on. So Friday will be our first mutual guest. It's something else I'll talk about later in this episode about the topic of that to get us ready and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. How did you enjoy it? Like live format with a different person? Did it feel any different?
No, it didn't feel any different whatsoever. It just felt like a normal episode. I actually, honestly, because on the screen it said just recorded and say live. So I was worried that the actual live of that episode was only going to have Kelly and not me. Yeah. I don't know if that really happened. It didn't seem like it when I looked on Instagram or on Facebook and YouTube or LinkedIn. It didn't look like it. It looked like it had the whole entire version. So that was good. But yeah, everybody, if you're listening to these on the recordings, remember that we go live Tuesdays and Fridays on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We're trying to potentially eventually get to YouTube. We just don't have enough followers yet on YouTube. So we've been advised not to put the live on YouTube. But also, I'm putting the link on Instagram in my story to Riverside every single time we go live as well. So you can there's multiple ways you can get on the live and chat with us, ask questions. We really want this show to become a Q&A thing too at the end of each episode. So the more people that continue to jump in, ask questions, the funner this is going to continue to be. Or it's just going to be a show where me and Graham just shoot the shit and talk about diabetes, whatever.
That's why I keep laughing, how easy it is for us to just talk. But once it'll be fun, like I said, to have get some guests going, get some people and questions and this and that. So what about Kelly? Does she ever take personal dives and update you on her diabetes or issues that she's having, or what she's seeing from customers or clients, anything like that as a dietitian?
Yeah, we talk a lot and we text a lot. She has a couple of my fitness clients that I'm always like having conversations with her. But in terms of like things that she has going on. Yeah, she updates me on things that she has going on. I'm obviously not going to talk about that right now because that's her personal business. But she does. Kelly is like my diet buddy, just like you're my diet buddy. Kelly is like a really good diet buddy, and not just a diet buddy, but also a business collaborative mentor slash colleague.
Mm-hmm.
We constantly talk about doing something, collaborating and doing something really big together. And spoiler alert, there's something in the mix. So we'll see how that goes. But Kelly's she's just a really cool human being that just straight out cares about her clients, which I really, really love. So if you haven't listened to episode 334, it's on the recording. It's on YouTube right now. So the actual video version of that episode is on YouTube right now. Go check it out. It is a fabulous, fabulous episode. We talk about male hormones. We talk about just hormones in general. She is my hormone expert, even though she wouldn't call herself an expert. I think she's a pretty decent, pretty good expert. So, but yeah, that episode is really cool. So
she's also my favorite story between you and I think, essentially, to give up a secret, doing what Ken and I do is somewhat like running a business, which I'm being sarcastic. It's not a secret, but one of the first calls we ever had, Ken's like, "Hey, I need to meet with this lady. Can you meet with us on Zoom?" Sure, no problem. This is all during COVID. I get right on. I'm like, "Yeah, I know her, Kelly." And he's like, "What?" He's like, we both laugh like, "Yeah, we know each other." Which reminds me, Ken threw me into a focus group last week. I got into a focus group because of Ken. It was really cool. But as we're talking, I'm really, really relating this with this one guy. And finally, I'm like, "What's your name again, buddy?" He's like, "Scott." I'm like, "Scott from camp?" And it's,
oh, shoot, yeah, you were on there with
exactly
Scott.
Like a counselor. Do you know Scott? I can't think of his last name. He's a little bit older than me. He's like 46.
Yeah, no, Scott.
Dude, we were just like, "What?" Blah, blah, blah. And then we all just got into laughing about the community and this and that. The director of the focus group actually like cut everybody off, and we're like, "All right, guys, we got to like cut down on the chit chat," because Scott and I were bringing other people on the panel about just different things and whatnot. All right. So you want to dive into a couple things that I had?
Yeah. So
on the side?
yeah, I want to start with the main topic of today, right? So the main topic of today is diabetes perfection, right? Diabetes perfection, and it's actually a trap. So many of us that are diagnosed at, whatever age it is, beginning of your diagnosis, you're told a couple different things. You're told that your blood sugar, okay, needs to be on point. You're put in this scare tactic with complications, and you get very little information on how to actually manipulate and navigate the day-to-day of living with this condition. And one of the things that I think a lot of people get into a trap, and we'll say the trap, and it's this thought process of they have to have perfect blood sugars. You have to be in a position where you have really good time and range, and you always have to have that, and you should never be over 200, or you should never be over 250, or you should always be as close to 100 as possible. And I think that this is a really important piece for all of us to understand, that this thought process is holding you back, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm going to really be very specific here. Hopefully it does not matter how you get to what works for you. This concept, this phrase for me, what works for you, is so powerful, because you cannot manipulate and navigate this condition with ease if you are trying to be like someone else, if you're trying to do things that other people are doing really, really well. Maybe you take parts of that, right? Maybe for me, like maybe you're listening to me and I'm really hyper vigilant on how I feel with diabetes, because I'm hypoglycemic and hyperglycemic unaware. So the feelings part for me is like my savings grace. Like I understand if I'm low, even though if the number doesn't say I'm low, I know how that feels. Or if the number says I'm low, but I don't feel low, I know how to take care of that. That's probably seems really easy, right? But it's not, because we all look at that number and we start freaking out, right? So I want you to understand that this concept of what works for you is so important. You got to figure this out, and also understand that that's going to evolve all the time. right? So perfection is a trap. You don't have to be perfect. If you're trying to be perfect and having perfect blood sugars all the time, you're going to run into what I call the mental burden of being pushed towards burnout. So I want everyone to understand that it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough to what you think is good enough, and be honest with yourself, right? For me, what is good enough is not having a blood sugar of 6.5. It's not having a time and range of 70% or lower. It's having a blood or an A1C of 6.0 or lower. It's having a average blood sugar of 120, or I'd say probably 100 to 120, right? That's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm constantly shooting for. So every single decision is trying to get me between 120 or 100 and 120, because my target is 100. My target is not 70 to 180. My target is 100. So every single decision I make is trying to get down to 100. Okay. So when you define that stuff for yourself, everything becomes clear. Decisions become way easier, and you don't have to constantly play the guessing game. Graham.
First and foremost, what got you on this? What got you on this topic? Why is this a topic? I didn't even see this ahead of time. We have notes.
This is always on my mind because I constantly am talking to my diabetes clients about it. I constantly see people on social media posting about it, and from both aspects, right? Not everyone I see is posting about, oh, you have to have perfect blood sugars. I can't believe I don't have perfect blood sugars. So many people understand that you don't have to be perfect, but I think that the concept of being perfect gets skewed inside of all the other BS, or not BS, but all the other stuff that we're told by our doctors, all the other stuff that we see on social media, all the other stuff that we see influencers do, or people that are doing really well, or maybe it's people that only push out their positive numbers or whatever. Like, so I bring that up because I know for me, when I first started and I came out of denial, I came out of depression and started learning more about how to live with the condition, I got stuck into the trap of my blood sugars aren't perfect. Man, I'm not 100% time and range. Man, I don't have a 6.0 or lower. Man, I don't have an A or a blood sugar average of 120 or whatever it is. I got into that trap when that trap just holds you back.
We're going to take a deep dive into something that I think about all the time. And as you're
Okay.
talking, I'm actually writing it down because I want to ensure I hit on my key points, but you're actually going to kill me because you're going to have to keep up with this, because now I need to get a computer charger because I forgot. So my computer's going to die. So
I'm going to kill you.
I actually want to come back to this, but let me hit you with something that I found, and I want to know really quickly what you think about it. Did you add all the notes that I left us for today?
Some of them,
Okay.
yes.
There was something that I quickly want to just ask you about. And again, you can kill 5 minutes. Giving me your thoughts on this while I gather myself. My apologies, Ken. My computer just hates me today. Okay. So you were the one that actually that sent me it. China curing diabetes. China claiming to have cured type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Now, that is a very social media-ish type post that you sent me, where it's like, China has cured type 1 and type 2 diabetes, which is obviously not the truth. However,
correct.
Two major things I want to hit on right now very quickly. The Chinese are certainly at a whole nother level, doing things that I think we have some really amazing institutions and things like that doing a lot of work, but it seems like the Chinese are really making a lot of breakthroughs. But the second thing I do think about is all this conflict in the world and everything going on is if this world went to war, are these going to be things that we're not going to be aware of, that China has in their part of the world that we will never truly be able to grasp or totally embody in our own culture based on the things that you sent me and the advancements that are happening?
Do I think that if the world goes to war, or if there is a war that engulfs a decent amount of the world, do I think that we all will have access to what China's doing?
Yeah, sure. If there was a world war and we weren't on the side of the Chinese.
So here's the reality of the situation, right? China is developing ways to do islet transplants, which is the same type of thing that we are doing here in the US, right? So when we think about like the different technologies or the different types of cures that are coming out, we have to remember that it's not just about the US, it's not just about China, it's not just about the UK. So many people, so many other companies, so many other countries are working on this stuff, right? So it's not just the US that's working on this stuff. The hard part is with this article from China cured type 1 and type 2, the problem with that is like when something like this is created in a foreign country, right? US versus China, right? Let's just say for hypothetical reasons, China has cured type 1 and type 2 diabetes with islet cell transplants. The problem is that has to go through vigorous FDA or vigorous things with with the US, right? Just like if our companies, the companies in the US, it has to go through the FDA approval. It has to go through that whole entire process. It has to go through human trials. So what I believe from what I initially read from this article was that China in early stages seems like they can cure type 1 diabetes, but it still has to go through human trials. It still has to go through US trials. It still has to go through US FDA. So there's still a lot of things and a lot of moving pieces in this. There's so many great things going on right now. So we all have to just take a step and just realize that this process is going to be a long process before it's readily available and is like a societal thing. I get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Okay, cool. I can cure it with X, Y, and Z medication, or I can cure it with X, Y, and Z transplants, or I've been diabetic for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 plus years. Okay, cool. I'm eligible for this cure. I was just diagnosed. Okay, I'm eligible for this cure. Like whatever it might be, like that stuff is still far away. But it is a really, 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 really cool time to look at this. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, do you think a cure is going to happen in your lifetime? My first response would probably have been no. An actual cure for everyone, no, in my lifetime. That still might not be the case for everyone, but that is fastly approaching the thought process of, oh my gosh, this could literally be 5 to 7 years away, maybe shorter, depending on how this trial goes. That's these 2 trials that are going on right now. So it's a really, really cool time to be a diabetic. Really cool time with the technology, with the social media, with your ability to listen to podcasts, with your ability to get into coaching, there's so many resources. Being part of Breakthrough T1D, getting involved with Beyond Type 1, like there's so many resources at our disposal. So it is such a good time to be a diabetic, but we also have to hit the pause button because we can't be just thinking like, oh my God, cure is 3 to 5 years away. Okay, my God, thank God I'm going to live. Like, no, let's live now. Let's do the things that you need to do right now, not just for your diabetes, but for your overall health to live and thrive in a healthy way. So in 5 years, you don't have all these complications, or whenever this technology is available to us, you don't have tons of complications and you're not eligible for it. So this is the time now for all of us who want to jump on board with more trials that are going to be coming, because these ones that are happening now is first generation. There's going to be more human trials that are going to happen, right? So those of us who want to be part of trials, want to be on the forefront of this technology, want to take part in this, you have to be healthy. So this is the time. Go to the gym, get enough sleep, stay hydrated, be on top of your blood sugars. Don't put yourself in a situation where 5, 7, 10, whenever this cure comes out, whenever these cures come out, whenever there is a cure in your lifetime, don't be in a position where you have a bunch of complications and now you can't do it. This is the time. That was a long-winded answer, Graham. Your mic is not on. There you go.
Dude, I know. Tech problems all day. It was something you sent to me, so I wanted to hear your thoughts and your scoop on it, so I had to deliver it in some fashion to you.
Yeah, I just gave the thoughts and scoops.
Thanks, scoops. So, okay, I'm fully prepared. I'm back, and I have the answer to your question.
What's the question?
Diabetes perfection. Do you know what the answer is?
Diabetes perfection.
Here, perfection to diabetes. You want to know my answer to it? And you want to know that? Here, let me give you a deep
Yes.
thought. Let's take a couple angles. The answer is very simple. Change is the only constant in life. Now follow me. If that is true, if that is the height of what we are all learning to achieve, understanding that change is the only constant in life, there is diabetes perfection in what we are doing in the day-to-day, not having lanes that we fall into, but a curve that's twisting, that's going up and down and up and down. That to me actually is perfection as a diabetic, because no 2 days are going to be the same. The challenge of perfection is what you said. It leads to what people's thoughts are about it and what's happening in their brain. So to me, and I have something written down that I like this. Human life is a rare temporary opportunity to experience reality through the body, through intentional, with actions that are intentional and meaningful. Okay, so let me say that again. Human life is a rare temporary opportunity to experience reality through the body with actions that are intentional and meaningful. Okay, to go back to what I said. However, if change is the only constant in life, that is the ultimate goal of what we're looking for here. This is all temporary. This isn't permanent, even though we might feel it is permanent. And I think that when I learned that reality, that gave me, I've never had diabetic burnout because of that. The thought that this isn't permanent. And people might say, you mean diabetes itself, blah, blah, blah. No. The pain that you feel, feeling really, 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 really frustrated, being in a hole, being in a whatever. It's not forever. That thing you're experiencing right now, A, is not forever, and B, if you can believe that it's going to change, that to me is perfection. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
You're taking it in a different perspective, which I like that perspective, right? Because we're talking about perfection on two different sides of the coin.
Hold on. This is an opinion, but to me, it's not a different perspective. To me, that is the answer. You are failing yourself if you're allowing yourself to get down about this. And if one blood sugar gets you down, you're not understanding the bigger picture. Hold on.
Keep going.
You need that bad blood sugar to experience the other things that are waiting there for you. I know somebody, and I'm going to have him on. He knows a diabetic who is miserable. And it's because he eats the same thing every day and his blood sugar is at 85, 90 all day, every day. And you're going to sit there and be like, that sounds awesome. This guy is miserable.
Doesn't sound awesome.
This guy is miserable. So those are the stories that I've always learned and thought about when I said, this is all it's all temporary. It's all temporary and it's meant to change. And the idea, I think what we all forget what we're talking about is pain, in my opinion. So when your brain is all twisted and you're worried, you're kind of that's the painful side of being human in your brain. And when your body's actually aching from the shots that you're giving or the blood sugars, it is actual pain that we're being reminded of every day. So as I said, if change is the only constant, pain is temporary, pride is forever, as they say. Yeah, I think that is kind of a true statement, though. Pain is temporary, pride is forever, as in the overlying thought to everything you're doing is the pride that you take in.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you a couple
let's
questions.
Go back. Let's break it all down. Ask me some questions, please.
Okay. The first question is, how long have you had diabetes?
I feel like that's an unfair question.
How long have you had diabetes? Give me years.
32 or 33 years.
Cool. Congrats.
Thanks.
The second question, have you always felt this way, even when you were first diagnosed? Even a year after, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
I'm going to give you an honest to God answer. I have never had diabetic burnout. I don't even know what it's like.
I'm not talking about diabetic burnout.
No,
I'm talking about your
answer.
No. Stop. No. I'm not talking about diabetic burnout.
I know.
I'm specifically talking about your idea of the way you think about diabetes. Have you always thought about that? Because right now you're in a great place. Right now you are. I've had conversations with you where it seemed like you haven't always been in that position, right? And that's 100% understand. Haven't always been in the position or had the positions that I have right now. The reason I bring this up, Graham, is because everything you're saying is 100% correct. The difference is we have to understand where you've come from in 31, 32 years, where I've come from in 18 years, the experiences that we've had in developing the thought processes, developing the way we manage our diabetes, developing the way we manipulate our diet, our blood sugars, right? That stuff matters. Because for the person that was just diagnosed yesterday, or for the person that was just diagnosed last year, it might not be the same thought process because they haven't learned how to deal with the emotions. When you don't know how to deal with the emotions because they're brand new emotions and you're trying to navigate and figure those out, we can't say that we don't understand why someone can't get past a burnout moment or a depressed moment or a confusing blood sugar or a confusing thought. We can't say that because they don't have enough under their belt to understand how to deal with that and really ask themselves, how do I deal with it, or why do I want to deal with it? Because why you want to deal with it, it helps bring confidence in dealing with it. You see what I'm saying? So what you're saying, and I'm so excited, I'm so happy that you're in this place. I always have told you that you have straight figured out what works for you, and it works really well for you, right? And who are we to argue with what works for you? Because it works for you. But for the person that was just diagnosed or recently diagnosed, they haven't had the education, the experiences to build the confidence to be in the position mentally where we are, or anybody else that has figured out what works for them. So I think that is important to just to state for all the listeners that just because you feel burnt out, just because you feel confused, just because you are distrusting your decisions, my heart goes out to you because I've been there. But to your point, it doesn't have to be that way, right? It doesn't have to be that way. And the only way that I know to get past that is to, one, experience it, and two, to start building confidence in how you're going to navigate it, whether that's you figuring it out yourself or whether that's you getting support from some other aspect, social media, your doctors, coaching, podcasting, reading articles, like just diving into the research, whatever it might be, whatever brings up your confidence, continuously experimenting and failing so you can learn, whatever it is. That is literally the only way I know how to get past all of it on a consistent basis.
Yeah. As you're talking, I was thinking really long and hard, and I'm a super emotional person, but I don't think I'm attributing emotion to something that I'm taking action on. And from day one of being diagnosed, it's like, well, just take action. And to me, I guess I haven't. Let's try to make this sense. Make this make sense. I'm not attributing emotion when I'm taking action with my diabetes, but there are certain things that absolutely bring out the worst emotions in me.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense. But
makes total sense.
To go all the way back to what I said, maybe that was something I always understood. Change will happen. Change is inevitable. Change is the only constant. And don't forget, when I was diagnosed, I was still, they were like, oh, you're going to hit puberty, and then, so I was waiting all those things to happen. And so changes were happening then.
Yeah, but change is a natural thing of evolution. There's a natural thing of living. Correct. It's a natural thing of being.
But this is my point.
Things are going to change.
This is my point. It sounds amazing. It sounds almost like, you hear stories. This just sounds so funny to say, like a vampire, immortality. That'd be great. And then you hear these, the different stories about vampires that have been alive forever, and they're like, dude, this sucks. Like, I'd give anything to die, right? Yeah. It's the same thing as a diabetic. Like, oh my gosh, 85. All I got to do is eat the same thing. No, man. Ask the people that are doing that. They're miserable. It's not a good reality. And in some way, that's how I say, diabetes, the fun in it, you come prepared, but you kind of throw yourselves to the wolves sometimes, Yeah. I forever, and I always forget to compliment you. And I have thought about it every single day. And it was on one of these lives where you said, get ballsy with your insulin. Take a risk with giving yourself the insulin. Like that is the best, essentially, advice I could ever have received from somebody. And it just came recently from you, because that's what it's all about, trial and error.
If you're ready for that, though, like if you're ready for that,
here's the only way to be ready. Be ready.
It's not.
Get up and do it, man. You got to. Here's the beauty of taking action. You can do it right now. There is no waiting around.
But taking action is different than trying to take action on an extreme fear. Here's the example, right? So we'll take fear of lows as the example, because so many of us have dealt with that. Some of us have it so bad that we refuse to give ourselves enough insulin when we eat something, or we only eat super, super, super low carb meals and snacks so we don't have to give ourselves a lot of insulin. This is literally a thing that people go through, right? Because they have such a fear of lows. It is super debilitating, regardless if they're at 110 coming down or whether they're at 110 falling with 2 arrows down. It is super debilitating. So to tell that person, oh, you just got to be more aggressive with your insulin, that's not going to work. That person's going to fall into a ball and go run for the hills and run the heck away from you and never listen to your advice ever again, right? So this is why diabetes management has to be unique to the person, because not only are we trying to deal with the complexities of how we navigate and manipulate things every single day, but the emotions that come up as we're trying to do that. The emotions that come up are they're real, and they should be welcomed, I think. The depressive thoughts should be welcomed, because the depressive thoughts wouldn't be there if there wasn't a reason for them. You're having these thoughts, you're having these like crazy stories that go into your head, fear of lows, fear of complications, whatever it might be. You're having them for a reason. And when you lean into those over time, you are able to gain confidence, and they don't have a big hold on you anymore. They're not debilitating anymore. They're just in the back of your brain, right? Just like when we first met and I told you that I had this extreme fear that I was going to wake up one day and my girls were going to be being diagnosed with diabetes. And I thought it would be all my fault, like all these things. And that emotion was really hard. It was really, really hard. But over time, with people like yourself, Graham, like people like my wife, people in my community, in my circle, telling me like, well, if that does happen, who better to help them than someone who lives with it and is trying to make a career and is making a career out of helping people navigate and manage diabetes? Who better to help that person? Who better to help your own children? So now I don't have this extreme fear. That was my pivot point of where I was able to get past the emotions, the fear, the stories. Fear makes us do some crazy shit. It makes us do some crazy stuff. But the fear is there for a reason. And we shouldn't be vilifying the fear. We should be looking to reflect and understand, why do we have that fear? Is it something from childhood that we have that fear from? Is it something in our diabetes, a situation that happened in the past that was just really freaking scary, and you felt like you barely got past it and you don't ever want to be in that position again, and that's where the fear comes from? We got to attack that fear. We got to peel back the onions of that situation and make you realize that the reality that you are thinking in your head that's giving you all this anxiety and all this fear is that based in reality. With the education, the tools that you have at your disposal now, would that happen again? These are the conversations that I have with people to get them out of the fear, or at least begin to start to get them out of the fear position.
What do you find is like a fear? Like, what's a specific fear? What's it like?
Fear of lows is the number one fear.
Okay,
that's
and then
one of the number
I know.
one fears.
But what's the fear in that?
It's a situation that's happened in the past that was really scary, that put that person in that situation, that they felt like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Or they've had multiple situations like that.
You mean like not even having to like call the squad or something, just such a low that
it could be anything. It could just be a simple low that like, oh my God, I never want to do that again. Or it could be like, I pass out, the squad is being called, and I'm getting woken up by my family, by the squad.
Sure.
That's also not just a scary thing. If something like that happens, that's kind of an embarrassing thing.
That's what I was going to say.
Right. So
How
like
many people do you think
that is
are-
another emotion that you might be dealing with in that situation.
Yeah.
Right. Not just the, oh my God, that was so scary, but like, oh my God, I'm kind of embarrassed now because the squad was called. Like I'm at work, or I'm like
yeah.
at the school. I'm a young kid and I'm at the school, or I'm a parent and at my, kid's game or practice or whatever. Like no one wants that stuff. But right. So all those emotions matter
Yeah.
to that individual.
Yeah.
And if we're not here with compassion for those emotions or for that person, then we are not doing our due diligence, right? We can't sit here and say like, oh my God, I've got this thing under control, so I'm amazing, and why can't everyone be like me? Hell no. Hell freaking no. We can't do that, because every person's journey is different. Every person's symptoms are different. Every person, the way they manage the condition is different. So we cannot sit here and say on any aspect from anybody, not just us, but from anybody, even your doctor, saying like, why can't you figure this out? Why can't you do this? Why are you so non-compliant? I hate that. I freaking hate that.
Non-compliant.
Right? Like that. I hate that.
People, you think patients are being called non-compliant by their endos?
Hell yes.
I'm sure they
Hell
are.
yes.
I'm just laughing at the thought of like that. Like,
think about what a type 2 diabetic that is struggling with weight, struggling with their diabetes, struggling with nutrition, have really bad relationship with food.
Yeah.
Like think about that person who doesn't have the emotional support. They're just getting a medication to help regulate their blood sugar, right? Not navigate the insulin resistance, but deal with their blood sugar. Think about that person in the doctor's office when the doctor's saying, oh my gosh, your A1C still at 8, 9, 10, 10. Like, what are you doing? Like, oh my gosh, you got to go exercise. You got to eat low carb. We got to get this under control. You're going to lose a leg. Like, think about what that person's going through.
Yeah.
And then we throw the same exact thing on the other side with a young kid, a teenager that's going through puberty, trying to figure out hormonal things, plus blood sugar, plus trying to be a teen, plus whatever it is, sports. Then you look at adulthood. Then you look at females trying to go through, getting pregnant and going through parenting, like all of the things that happen in life. Now we're throwing type 1 diabetes on top of it, blood sugar regulation, with someone who doesn't understand how the disease works or how to navigate it. It's no wonder everyone's so depressed. It's no wonder everyone's so confused. It's crazy.
I mean, God, dude, I know. I almost want to just play devil's advocate just for a little bit though, because
please,
there is a lot of power. It's like starting your day making your bed. If you can start your day laughing at the diabetes, hold on, Ken. You can't keep reverting to what and this. I don't feel that way. I don't feel depressed, and I feel like it's like kind of the best thing about me in many ways. It's the reason diabetes is the legs of everything I do. The foundational things, the pillars that you talk about.
Yeah.
Those legs of diabetes have been the foundation of everything else I do in my life. The way I exercise, the way I manage my employment, the way my family, the way I look at, it's at the same time, I kind of feel better than everybody else. Like if I can do this, make it look pretty and have everything else going, you have no idea. So,
yeah.
I guess what I keep saying is you don't have to hang your hat on anything. You can, you're not going to be sad. You don't got to be sad forever. You don't have to be this way forever. You don't have to be anything forever. If it matters that much to you, get up and do something about it. That's still, I know you're going to be like, blah, blah, blah. But that is the trick. You got to get up and do something about it.
You have to take action. Like you're 100% right. We can talk. I can sit here all day long and have complete empathy and compassion for the person that has not figured this out and is depressed and has all these emotions. But at the end of the day, the only thing that we can do, not just as diabetics, but as human beings, if something is bothering us, if we're in that depressive state, if we have all this fear and anxiety and stress of where our life is, you got to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do about it?
Sure.
100%. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep stewing in all of the negative emotions, or are you going to start working to improve your situation. I love the concept of in life, and especially in diabetes, there's only two options. You only have two options. You literally only have two options. You either stay where you are and stew in everything and be miserable, or you take action. That's literally the only two options you have.
Mm-hmm.
There's no in the middle.
No.
Because if you're not taking action, then you're just stewing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you said that this is something that's a topic of social media and this and that. What's your relationship with this?
With what?
This concept,
Diabetes?
Perfection. When was the first time it hit you?
Yeah.
Maybe
I think that I have a mixed love-hate relationship with the concept of perfection, because the reason I say that is because you did bring up a very good point, because I talked about the thought process of being perfect with blood sugars, with how you manage the condition. And then you turned around and talked about the other side of the coin, which is, this thought process of you have to take action on things. You don't have to stew in those emotions. You don't have to be in that position. You don't have to be in like being super stressed out about it all the time, right? I feel like it's the opposite sides of the coin, because on one side we're talking about dealing with diabetes, even though dealing with emotions is part of that. But then just let it go. Let the emotions go. Don't let it overpower you, right? So I feel like that it is a two-sided coin, that we have to understand that where we are now doesn't have to be our reality, unless you're happy and comfortable with where you are, right? I'm very comfortable and happy with where I am emotionally. I'm not happy and comfortable with where my blood sugars have been the last 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, as I've transitioned on losing the ability to take Afrezza, trying to get that back, now finally have it back. How is it going to work back into my management? Because I changed my entire management system on how I dose for insulin, because I didn't have Afrezza for 3-4 months, right? So I've got fluctuating blood sugars. I think I need to uptick my basal a little bit at night, right? So there's always this thought process of going down this highway. And as you are going down the highway, okay, where are the exit ramps that you have to take off to make adjustments to what's going on in your management? You're always gonna have to get off at that rest stop or that exit to take a piss. You always are gonna have to. But then you get off, you figure it out, and then you get back on. That's what this is about. Constant change of what you said earlier. I love that you brought up the thought process of change, because your management and everything that you do in diabetes and in life is going to change.
Yeah.
As your the seasons of your life change, your management's going to change.
Yeah. I have met people like this in my life, and I don't really like them. The type of personality that's always saying, as soon as I do this, as soon as I do this.
Yeah.
That's another thing. And again, sorry, this is my opinion. I think that's one of the ugliest things you can do as a human being. And, if you're dating and you're diabetic and you're always, oh, I just got to do this so I can do this and this. It's just, don't do that to your don't do that. Don't be that way, but don't be that way with your diabetes either. Cause that's the other thing is, this is the essence of the anxiety of the word perfection, is the thought that there is a final, there's a final thing that happens at the end where you're like, you made it, you're here, you did it. Like, no. That isn't there isn't, the final whistle in life. Even when you are perfect, nobody's going to be there to pat you on the back. You might be at your best and you're going to have the shittiest day of your life. So again, we are coming down a little bit, and I promised I would do this. Do you have anything else you want to say on this, or can I move away?
I think the ending remark that I have is that I just want you to be happy. I just want you to be happy with yourself. I just want you to be happy with the way you're managing your diabetes. I don't want you to feel resentful. I don't want you to be depressed. I don't want you to be in burnout. I don't want any of that stuff. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be in that state all the time or sometime or whatever it is. Now, me saying you don't have to be in that state all the time doesn't mean that maybe sometimes you fall into that state because of things that happen in life. I've fallen into that before, right? When Afrezza got taken away and my insurance company said, yep, no, screw you. We're not going to cover this anymore. It's like, dang it. And I fell into like, this is ridiculous. How am I going to, like, what do I do now? My whole entire management style was based off of using Afrezza. Now I have to change it up, but I figured it out. And you can figure out the situation that you were in and be extremely, extremely happy, because that's all any of us deserve, is just to be happy with ourselves, our existence, and our diabetes. That's it.
Well, thank you. You said this word a couple times today. You say it a lot. Parenting. On Friday, we have a guest coming on who is a good friend of mine. She is the mother of a type 1 diabetic, but she's also a bulldog, a businesswoman, the type of energy I have. She's an idea machine. So she even told me ahead of time, she's like, I got all sorts of things and ideas that I want to talk about and bring to light. So I really look forward to that. That's something we haven't talked a lot about, is parenting. I don't know that you and I could have a full-on conversation without somebody here to kind of ask questions, bounce some ideas, this and that off of. So
Like
I'm really
like a parent of a type 1.
parenting us not having diabetes and parenting a kid with diabetes, that's all kind of just make believe for us. So I'm really excited about that. And, that's it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I hope that you guys got some positiveness, I guess the word would be, out of this
Positivity. Jesus.
No, positivity. No, that's not positivity. It's positiveness is not a word, but I don't even care.
No. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I don't care. How about this? I hope that everyone got some value out of this conversation.
That was so hard to find another word.
Man, I hope so. I hope you guys got some value out of this. I'm very serious. I want every single one of you to love yourself, be in a great place with diabetes, and have a great life, because you deserve that. You deserve that. And if you are not in that place, if you're constantly trying to figure out your blood sugars, if you can't figure out what's going on, if you feel stuck, there's solutions. There is a solution. The first is continue to listen to this podcast. The second is reach out and ask for help. Not from your doctor, because they can't give you the help that you need in 15, 20 minutes every 3 to 4 months. They just can't. They can't. Ask for help. If you don't trust me to help you, my God, go find someone else. Because there are so many great coaches, diabetes coaches, dietitians, psychologists out there trying to help us with diabetes, deal with this condition. So if you're not aligned with what I'm saying, I just want you to get help. I just want you to get the support that you deserve and that you need. So if you are stuck, send me an email, send me a message, let's chat, and let's figure this out. Graham, as always, I appreciate you. You're amazing. Everybody, you guys are amazing. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys on Friday live. And I think Katie's episode will come out next week. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a huge episode, huge stuff going on in this diabetes cure realm. And she's way more in tune with all that stuff because she's going through it than I am. So that's going to be another really good conversation. And then tune in on Friday when we are going to be talking to a caregiver of a type 1 diabetic. So parent of a type 1 diabetic, that's going to be a really good episode too. It's been a while since we talked to a caregiver, so I'm excited about that one too. Listen to the previous episodes. All these episodes now are getting put onto YouTube, the actual video formats, so you can do that as well. Until then, we will see you guys later. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, we'll see you guys later.